Hello and welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Second video of the day. This video going to be a wee look back at the semi-final, a few talking points from that, and a few talking points regarding Celtic's 5 post-split fixtures, hopefully leading towards a successful defence of the league, and then a wee look forward to the Scottish FA Cup final, which will be the 25th of May against Rangers. That game's going to be live on BBC One Scotland and also live on Premier Sports. And it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, which is nice. It's quite a contrast from rather stupid 5:30 kickoff last year when we were playing against Inverness Cali Thistle, which meant a lot of their fans couldn't actually get back home that day to Inverness. Anyway, we look back, as I said, to the semi-final. We look forward to the next few weeks of the league title run-in. And for those new to the channel, please do consider clicking the subscribe button, get those numbers pushing up towards 500, moving me on to being a level 2 YouTube channel. And also do consider clicking that like button, help get these videos seen by more YouTube viewers. And finally, do feel free to pop your comments regarding the video and Celtic's next few weeks into the comment section. Please do remember to keep those friendly, instructive, polite, etc. Now, a few wee talking points. One of the main talking points of the weekend were 2 potential penalties to be given against Celtic. Both were turned down by the referee and turned down by VAR. There was a potential handball by Liam Scales on the edge of the box. The video footage appeared to show this was outside the box. Also, for me, Scales' hand was down by his side. He was just running, and the ball bounced up and hit his hand. Not expanding his silhouette, not gaining an advantage. It was just a purely, completely accidental brush of the ball on his hand, and not a penalty kick in a million years. Second one, I think a little bit more controversial. Did look like Cameron Carter-Vickers does come through and catch the Aberdeen striker's boot. Would be a pretty clear penalty kick. It would appear, however, Don Robertson saw a foul by Poylett on Johnston in the lead up to that goal. There was certainly contact. He certainly did knock Johnston off the ball. A lot of ex-pros are saying this was just normal 2 players going for the same ball. Some have said yes, it's a foul, and did seem a slight delay between when Don Robertson had decided to give Celtic the foul and the VAR potential penalty. And the way certainly Don Robertson pointed towards the spot did suggest he'd given a penalty, although equally pointing the same direction would be indicating he's giving a foul to Celtic around about the edge of our 6-yard box. It certainly would appear that the VAR referee agreed that there was sufficient contact on Johnson for it to be called a foul, and under that circumstance, not enough for VAR to overturn the decision. I think, given the fact that Don Robertson clarified with players, with managers, and with the VAR official that he had given a foul for the foul on Johnston, and VAR came up with the right decision. There was a slight call for Celtic getting a penalty when I think it was Idah had a shot that hit the Aberdeen player's upper arm, then onto his face, and off his face past the post. One could technically say that the Aberdeen player had expanded his silhouette and his arm was away from the ball. It was just about at the t-shirt level. If it hadn't hit his arm, it wouldn't have hit his face. If it hadn't hit his face, it would have gone into the goal or gone into the goal. So technically, some would say that should have been a penalty. Again, I think that would have been incredibly harsh. So I think VAR and the referee did a pretty good job at the weekend. I don't think there was any major controversies. I think agree with a lot of Don Robertson's decisions. One thing that did frustrate me and annoy me was the fact that there was one solitary booking for an Aberdeen player running into the crowd. You could see the number of stewards and police frantically trying to fight back the number of Aberdeen fans that have run to the front of their section. That does actually pose quite a safety risk and security risk. Supporters spilling onto the pitch, or some supporters rushing down, squashing the supporters who are seated or standing next to the barrier. In technical terms, those should be every Aberdeen player who went into that melee with their fans should have been yellow carded. They've all left the field of play without permission, and so technically all of those players should be yellow carded. That would have actually resulted in 2 or 3 of the Aberdeen players being sent off after their celebration for the second goal at the end of the second period of extra time. I think possibly had the referee been much more stringent with their similar celebration when they scored just as time ended in the 90-minute section, I doubt the Aberdeen players would have rushed off the pitch into the fans, causing problems for the stewards and police, in which case everybody would have finished with 11 men against 11 men. A couple of other wee talking points. A lot of people saying Celtic were wrong to have Joe Hart as one of their 5 penalty takers. As I said in Sunday's video, there's a long history of goalkeepers being very good penalty takers. Jose Luis Chilavert, the Paraguayan international goalkeeper, being probably the best example. I think all of us who watched the Real Madrid Man City game highlights would have seen Ederson's brilliant penalty during their first 5 penalty kicks. And there are a lot of stories that Celtic's goalkeepers practice saving penalties on a very, very regular basis. And so Hart taking penalties is something he does on a very regular basis as part of that goalkeeping practice. And in the practices that were organised prior to Saturday's game against Aberdeen, Hart was apparently one of the very best, and he was said to be on Celtic's list of 5 right from the start. I have to say, I was also very impressed with how well all the other Celtic penalty takers took the penalties, especially Iwata and Johnson, who would have been under quite considerable pressure, plus Idah and Palmer, who had missed penalties already for us this season. So well done to all those who successfully scored their penalties, and well done also to Joe Hart for saving a penalty at the 3rd time of having gone the right way and got contact on the ball. Final wee talking point, which a lot of people in their feedback to Sunday's video, and also reading through a lot of the Celtic fan sites, a lot of people very, very critical of Liam Scales, how very poorly he defended the whole match, slow, out of position, getting in Carter Vickers' way on a regular basis, not linking up well with Carter Vickers as a defensive 2, not linking up well with Greg Taylor on the left side of defence. Aberdeen's 2nd and 3rd goals practically identical, ball to the back post, Scales and Taylor not being able to mark their runners, Scales not being able to get up to challenge the Aberdeen player heading the ball into the net at the back post. Very poor, largely down to poor technique from Scales, but probably also something that Celtic should have been working on the training field with Rodgers, Kennedy, etc. And I really hope that Rodgers works very hard with the players over the next week prior to the Dundee game on that aspect. And I also hope he at last sees sense and puts Scales on the bench, which is a good option in that he does cover centre back, left back, and can cover midfield roles as well. Put Nawrocki into central defence, and having CCV and Nawrocki practicing partnership and defence and defending in the last few minutes to nullify those areas where we have been so deficient all season. As I said in the video from Sunday, and a few of the replies to comments from that video, 45% of our goals are from 81 minutes onwards. We really have to learn to defend and keep a lead, or defend at least to keep a draw. If you think back to the games against Motherwell, we threw away an added time equaliser to Motherwell. Same against Kilmarnock, 1-0 up going into added time, throwing away a stupid back post equaliser to Kilmarnock, and obviously more recently 3-2 up going into added time against Rangers. We let them get free on their left wing. Matondo has a very good shot that beats Joe Hart. However, if you think about that, plus if you think back to what turned into a 2-1 loss against Kilmarnock in Kilmarnock early in the season, a game where we were playing very poorly second half, but 1-1 with 3 minutes to go. Some terrible defending by Scales and Nat Phillips allowed Kilmarnock to score the winner in the 87th minute. If you think about turning those 3 games that were draws into wins, that's 6 more points. Another point for what should have been a draw against Kilmarnock that turned into a loss. That's 1 more point, that's 7 points, along with our 3-point lead we've got already, and an extra few goals or goal difference benefit. And practically we would be guaranteed the title simply by beating Dundee on Sunday coming. Now we've got that difficult game, very difficult game against Hearts, the Rangers game, which will also be difficult, and then finally game against Kilmarnock, which is always going to be difficult. We've got a very poor record at Kilmarnock this season, and finally at home against St Mirren, hopefully to be crowned champions already, or at the very worst, knowing that a win or a draw going into that last fixture will guarantee us the title. One thing I would say to all viewers and subscribers is this is obviously going to be a difficult run of games. There are quite a number of challenging games. All the teams in the top 6 really have something to play for. Obviously, Celtic and Rangers are going for the title. Hearts have not quite guaranteed themselves third place. Kilmarnock can push forward into third place with a very good run of fixtures. Dundee and St Mirren are within 2 points of each other, vying for that 5th place, which will get them European qualification. Obviously, St Mirren and Dundee, if they went on a good run and Kilmarnock had a poor run, they could get up into 4th place and get more advantageous European qualifying games for next season. So all 6 teams very much have something to play for. And so all those games are going to be difficult, and the games are going to be equally difficult for Rangers. And personally, I feel our squad is currently fitter, less injury problems, and in better form. And just looking at the last 4 games for the 2 teams, Celtic have 10 points out the last 12, whilst Rangers, under pressure of trying to keep up with Celtic, have 5 points out the last 12. So for all those who are pessimistic, thinking Celtic's players aren't quality and aren't going to do it, equally Rangers, to overcome the 3-point advantage and the 5 goals of goal difference advantage, are also going to have to overcome and go practically perfect for the last 5 games. And just to finish off today's wee roundup of looking forward and looking back, I think Brendan Rodgers has a few selection queries to sort out over this week going into the Dundee match. I think we have to decide who we're going to play on the left side of attack from the start. Yang's had a couple of Poor performances with only occasional good signs. James Forrest came off the bench, obviously against Aberdeen, did very well. Later swapping to the right side after Kuhn went off. Did feel that James Forrest, the longer the game went on, particularly into extra time, he did kind of fade from the game. To be fair to him, during that half hour after when he came on before the end of normal time, he did actually have a couple of other good chances that he could have scored, which would have put the game beyond Aberdeen. My personal preference would be go for Lewis Palmer on the left from the start, with Forrest and Yang coming on as later subs. Both, I think, do better at the moment coming off the bench as subs rather than as starters. And I think Kuhn over the last couple of matches has been good. He obviously scored a goal at the weekend, did make quite a lot of good passes and crosses, but also seemed to fade from the game as well. So I think going forward, Palmer on the left, Kuhn on the right, and around about 60 minutes swapping in Forrest and Yang to finish off the game. Other wee queries got to maybe answer is Callum McGregor worth a place in the starting lineup? As he does seem to be struggling for fitness and endurance. He wasn't really his dominant self against Aberdeen, and he went off after 60 minutes. Tomoki Iwata, I thought, came on and did his quiet, behind the scenes, background types of things that he does very well. I think McGregor's obviously the better player, the better leader, the better captain. But I think for the next 5 games, we need to have everybody fully fit and firing on all cylinders. My personal feeling is an extra week of training should get McGregor back to full fitness and full domination. And so I think we're going to have McGregor in the number 6 role for the rest of the season, with Tomoki Iwata coming on as and when required to replace him or to replace Hatate instead. Final wee thought is who should we have partnering Cameron Carter-Vickers? I think more and more Celtic fans are saying Liam Scales has been found out by the opposition. I think they've quickly worked out that Liam Scales is quite poor with the ball at his feet, very dithery in getting the ball forward quickly for Celtic, which allows the other team to get their defence and midfield all lined up to block things off. So they're very happy to let Scales have the ball. They also know to pressurise Scales if they are needing to keep Celtic pinned back. And so I can see that being quite an issue against Kilmarnock, Hearts and Rangers in particular. They're exploiting Scales' poor choices of pass and poorer quality of pass. For that reason, I think Nawrocki is a better option, better with the ball at his feet, better with distribution. Also, I think Nawrocki is better in the air, better at tackling and better in ground duels, and has more pace and is a better partner for Carter-Vickers. One final possible thought that Rodgers may have would be to start with Idah rather than Kyogo. I think Kyogo is the higher quality striker. I think Idah has a lot of skills to bring to a game late on, either as an additional partner for Kyogo or as a replacement for Kyogo, as he showed at the weekend, where he came on late in the game and was an important factor in Celtic keeping the ball up in the Aberdeen end. Was a factor in the third goal. Nearly scored a goal himself, chalked off for offside, and of course popped that penalty away very nicely. I think Matt O'Reilly's probably going to be Celtic's number 1 penalty taker going forward for as long as he keeps on scoring. But Idah is a definite good backup if required. So, great to see what you feel yourself regarding those various different selection issues. Who to play on the left, assuming that Maida's not going to come back prior to the cup final. Whether to go with McGregor or Iwata, whether to go for Kyogo or Idah, and whether to go for Nawrocki or persist with Liam Scales. Hopefully, Brendan Rodgers sees See, Sense isn't so pig-headed and obstinate as he often is, and does respond to the fans, the pundits, and the Celtic world. So, thanks for listening and watching today. If you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed the content and enjoyed the other videos skimming through on the site, please do click the subscribe button, click the like button if you like the video, and do pop your comments into the comment section, keeping everything polite, friendly, and instructive and informative. Goodbye and hail, hail.